Sports Talk 1080 The Team, Orlando's Tuck and O'Neill. Here online, you find our website at sportstalkflorida.com. I'm Jerry O'Neill with Mike Tuck. We do the radio show weekday afternoons from 3 to 7. Mike, we're 5 weeks away from the kickoff of the college football season when we sit down to talk about this. And I know we're really excited about the season coming up. But it's interesting, some of the things that have been coming out of these media days meetings that started with the SEC. And one topic in particular that we want to talk about is the one that Steve Spurrier brought up, about additional monies for some of these top conferences being able to pay student athletes. And one of the questions Jim Delaney was asked, the Big Ten commissioner, was, could you see down the road a competitive disadvantage for programs that don't have the monies, for conferences or schools that don't have the monies to pay these athletes?
Well, I think what we're going to find out is that we're talking about the Big Five conferences potentially breaking off and forming this new league where they have to be able to afford that. I don't think every school within those five conferences is going to view this plan the same. I don't know that they all can't afford it, but I think there's a good chance that they might look at their financials and go, I don't know that this makes a whole lot of sense for us. And then we could be talking about a system that goes from, say, 60 teams. We might break it all the way down to 45, 40, 30. I don't know what the number is going to stop at. But 1A football, how we view it, I think could change forever if they actually follow through with it.
You know, I think even though Jim Delaney, again, the Big Ten commissioner, said at the Big Ten meetings that he thinks all of this could happen within a year, and yet he admits openly there are so many differences amongst either conferences or schools within conferences that you'd be hard-pressed to believe that they could get these radical changes made in 1 year.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to me that's possible. I don't know how they would even follow through with that. I still don't know that it will ever happen. It's interesting that so many of the conference commissioners obviously have discussed it and are now coming forward with it publicly, maybe to start to get the wheels in motion. But I'd be stunned if we're talking about this a year from now, a complete break-off of the Big Five conferences or any teams away from their conferences to form a new league.
And back to this compensation stipend, if we'll call it that, for student athletes. It's funny, Steve Spurrier, again, not suggesting he's wrong, he's the one who brought it up. He talked about this stipend, these additional monies going to football players and to men's basketball players. Now, Jim Delaney, the Big Ten commissioner, talked about it would have to be within the guidelines of Title IX, and he talked about going to full scholarship athletes. And, you know, there's also, people may not realize that it's football, men's and women's basketball, and women's volleyball are the only sports that mandate that you have full scholarships. All of the others can give out full scholarships, but there's a limit within their particular sport, of which in many cases, many of those student athletes don't have full scholarships.
Ultimately, if they want to get to a place where they're paying players, and again, I'm not so sure they're in a big hurry to get there. They talk about it publicly. I think they're more interested in their own bank accounts with this move, making the schools richer, making themselves richer, coaches richer. I think that's what it's about. I don't know that we're ever going to see this idea of pay-for-play stipend. I just don't think it works mathematically. You start breaking it down and you factor in all the other non-revenue sports. You start factoring in Title IX and some of the other little intricate details that we don't care to talk about or think about. I just don't think it's a real possibility. I think more likely is an eventual break-off from the NCAA for football alone where they govern themselves. I know it's not a direction they want to go because it'll be time-consuming, but I think that's the only way they'll ever be able to make it work.
You and I are big college football fans. We're more interested in the games on the field, which are going to begin very, very soon as we are recording this. But these other pending issues are something that will be ongoing, developing change, and potentially even more radical change. And we've seen that, obviously, in the landscape of college football.
Yeah, the one thing that we all want, we want to see competitive football. We want to see packed stadiums. We want to see just everything that we've seen already. We don't want it to change so much that we're not enjoying it anymore. And it would be interesting if there was a branch off, a break off, how that would affect the rest. Certainly here in this city with UCF,
sure.
How would they be affected? How would other schools be affected that have aspired to reach this 1A football level suddenly have the door slammed in their face, how are they going to react? What will they do moving forward?
You're a football fan. We got to believe that. And if you're as excited for the season ahead, we hope you'll join us on a regular basis. We're Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Tuck and O'Neill. Mike Tuck, I'm Jerry O'Neill. We're Sports Talk 1080 The Team, Orlando.